What did God do for guilty sinners so we wouldn't have to go to hell? Do you know?
Purgatory? Or what? Isn't that it? I'm not
Say
even
that again?
I don't really know it, actually. Just give me the answer, man.
Well, Jesus died on the cross for the sin of the world.
Yeah.
You and I broke God's law, the 10 Commandments. Jesus paid the fine. That's why he said it is finished just before he died on the cross. It is finished. The debt has been paid.
Oh, I love this lady. She is awesome, dude. And what we're going to see here is this woman trying so hard to be honest and actually have a conversation with Ray Comfort that he just keeps on bullying her and trying to manipulate her until she picks up on it. I don't know. We're going to get into it. I'm Brentley. This is the Punk Apostate. Let's go. I love covering these because it kind of gives you a really good idea of exactly how manipulative religion is in general. Now, they all utilize the same manipulative tactics, all religions do, but Ray Comfort has turned those tactics into a science, right? That he has curated over the years for like the past, I don't know, 15, 20 years that he's been doing it. And this lady just isn't putting up with it. I love it. And of course, she's like got the multicolored hair. And I'm like, of course she does. She's a punk apostate punk rock legend, if you ask me. Let's take a look.
I believe that there absolutely is an afterlife.
Let me give you a scenario. He knew he only had minutes to live, so he called 911 and he spoke to the operator for half a minute to a minute, I would say. If that happened to you, what would you say to the operator? What will be important to you?
Keep fighting and keep creating purpose and meaning. That's what life is about.
So that's what you'd say is your last words.
Spread love.
Spread love.
You hear him like snickering there, right? Spread love. That's ridiculous. Spread love. You don't spread love. Spread shame and guilt.
Do you believe in God's existence?
I believe that we're all God, so yes.
You believe we're all God or we're made in God's image?
Wait, you must mean the real thing that I think, right? That we're all made in God's image, and I think you're right about that. No, that's not what you said.
I believe that we're all God because, I mean, we would be made in God's image in that point. So is that tree, right?
No, that tree hasn't got a sense of right and wrong or justice and truth. Hasn't got the ability to respond to its maker. It's just a tree. It can't think like we think. We're reasoning beings.
Actually, that's to your understanding. Plants have their own communication completely.
You talk to the trees?
I don't talk to the trees. The trees talk to each other.
Because that's silly. Talking trees. Get out of here. We all know that only donkeys talk and snakes sometimes. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. We don't know. Maybe trees do talk to each other, right? You know, they're just all down there hanging out, drinking root beer, right? Throwing shade, you know. They might even log on to their own version of a splinter net or something. Probably might even have their own cult like Ray does, you know, like the Branch Davidians. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
speaking rudely to it because I'm just like, everything that we create holds energy. And the way that you exist in life and interact in life is such a reflection of that energy, that afterlife, that before life, that everything.
Do you believe in God's existence? I don't mean are we all made in God's image?
Nobody said that. She didn't say that. I know you gotta manipulate people by acting like people say stuff they didn't say, but that's not what she said.
We're gods. I mean, do you believe in a creator of all things?
Yeah.
What do you think of the Bible?
I think that the Bible is a lovely interpretation of a pathway to enlightenment. And I think that a lot of people have created a lot of community through it. The Bible is someone's interpretation of Jesus's life, who wasn't even really known. Like, nobody even knew who Jesus was when he was alive. So the fact that we have used this man's life.
Look at this. So she said, she's like, nobody even knew who he was when he was alive and everything, right? And basically saying like that all these stories and everything came well after the fact, almost a century. It was like 60 to 90 years after the fact. People passed these stories around, and that's why we get the Gospels and whatnot, which were literally written after all the letters to Paul. Like, they were the last things written. It was just basically, these were just like stories that Paul could use in order to make himself the new cult leader, because he's just kind of riding on the coattails of the old cult leader, which was Jesus, right? And Paul wants to be the new one. And look what Ray does here. She's like, nobody even knew who he was when he was old. And he's like, oh yeah? Well, look at this verse. There's a verse here that says Luke 4:37. And the fame of him went out into every place of the country round about. Basically being like, she's wrong because the Bible says so. She's silent because the Bible has to be true no matter what. I never questioned that. That couldn't possibly be mistaken. I'm absolutely never mistaken about anything. Just watch how I talk to people. I talk to them like they're children, even though I'm the one reasoning like children.
But I do think that it's a bit stagnating. I think that we all should strive to be Jesus, not to get acceptance from Jesus and forgiveness from Jesus.
You mean to be like him?
I mean, whatever people think he's like.
And this is something that manipulative people do. They'll correct you on little things that are insignificant. Even if they understand what exactly you were trying to say, be like, you mean this, you're messing up, you're making mistakes, you're not thinking right. Like the whole idea is that he can sit there and act like he's got everything figured out. He never makes any mistakes. Everything he's thinking is absolutely 100% perfect and reasonable. And you are the one that needs to question everything you think. You need to question yourself. It's Conman 101. If you say stuff with enough confidence and try to manipulate people into doubting themselves and being like demanding intellectual honesty on their end, while you personally are intellectually dishonest as all can get out, that's the con man way. And you can see her picking up on it as the conversation goes. Let's get back to it. Check it out.
Let me change the dynamic a bit. Can you handle that? I'm going to move away from your intellect, which we've been addressing, and speak to your conscience. Can you handle that?
I can handle that.
You think you're a good person?
I try every day.
Okay. What do you measure yourself with to know if you're good?
That's a very complex question.
That absolutely is an extremely difficult question to answer, especially in just a couple minute interview where you're on the street. There's an entire branch of philosophy dedicated to that question. Most people would recognize that the answer to that question isn't what Ray Comfort subjectively interprets his God to want everybody else to behave like. That's not the standard that she nor anybody else would answer that question with. You know, it's like, my standard for morality is whatever you subjectively interpret your God to want. Right? That's my standard for morality, right? No, most people would say like it transcends anybody's subjective interpretation of what they think their God wants, right? Because you got all these different people with all these different religions, and we can't follow all of them, right? So the way that we behave, or morality, should have more to do with how you treat other humans, irrespective of what religion you have and irrespective of what religion they have. Doesn't matter. It should be about treating people the way that they want to be treated. Jesus got close, but he didn't quite get there. He was trying to get people to empathize, which is a good thing. But you should still treat people the way they want to be treated. You don't treat people the way you want to be treated, because if you're someone who's a jerk like Ray Comfort, that once apparently he thinks it's okay to just condemn everybody all the time, because he's like, that helped me. That was great, me being condemned. So I just go around condemning everybody, because then that makes me mindlessly obsessed with my religion. So like a fundamentalist nutbag. It's all about how we behave as a community, irrespective of what religion we believe in. The things that we think are wrong are based on the harm, demonstrated harm, right? If you're not demonstrably harming people, then that's not wrong, right? That would be a much better basis for morality, obviously, right? But of course, this is all lost on Ray. He doesn't understand anything outside of his very narrow subjective interpretation of his fundy views about God or whatever.
I think that in the moment, I'm always striving to be good, but life is about learning, and you're bound to hurt people. And I don't think it's about goodness. I think it's about awareness and the ability to understand if something is productive or if it is hurting yourself and others, and the flow of life.
This lady's she's just trying to be very open and honest and kind of see things like a much more open-minded perspective, and I appreciate that she's doing that. She doesn't know who she's talking to. She doesn't know that yet. So I mean, she's going to get there. Just wait. It's about to be really fun. But hey, if you're enjoying this video, if you don't mind, you give us a like. And if you enjoy this kind of content, if you could subscribe, that'd be great.
What do you think of the 10 Commandments? They're a good standard to judge yourself by.
I think that they're a fantastic judgment to stand by.
Oh, really?
I almost kind of think maybe she doesn't know what the 10 Commandments are. Or I think maybe she's doing that thing where she's just like trying to be nice. And because here's what ends up happening a lot of times, because humans are polite and we have these mirror neuron things where we try to behave in a way that the person that we're interacting with would want us to. And of course, Ray Comfort takes full advantage of that. And so a lot of times people just are like just trying to answer the questions the way he clearly wants them to answer, right? So he says, what about the 10 Commandments? That seems to be a good standard, right? If we actually brought out the 10 Commandments and showed them to her, like 1 through 10, actually there's like 11 or 12, depending upon which version of the 10 Commandments we're talking about, because obviously there's multiple interpretations. I think if we actually had the 10 Commandments out and showed her, hey, look, this is the first one, here's the second one. The first commandment is immoral. The first commandment is basically the basis of all racism. Have no other gods before me. People would be like, oh, no, but racism is based on the color of your skin, right? Yeah, but that's just the indicator that you're of a people that doesn't worship my God, which is offensive to me that you're a person out there that doesn't believe in my God. And I think that you are lesser than because you have broken the first commandment. And I can tell that because I can see your skin and know that you're from a different culture, a culture that doesn't believe my stuff. Other ones like keep the Sabbath holy. Ray Comfort doesn't even do that. He doesn't believe in keeping the Sabbath holy. Taking God's name in vain, that does nothing to anybody. Who cares? Obey your parents, whatever. Sometimes that can be moral, sometimes it can't. Don't lie. Probably, I see why they did that one, although I don't really think lying is that big of a deal unless it's in a particular context that would lead to demonstrated harm. Do not covet. Covet is the basis of all capitalism. I think when she answered this question, she's just not, it just has like a different idea of maybe what the 10 Commandments are. Because I think a lot of us, when you're not looking at what the 10 Commandments are, you tend to assume that they are just like that, like just how to behave, right? Don't hurt people, don't steal, don't commit adultery. Adultery is one of them too, which I would argue is actually a good moral standard. Don't lie to the person that you love and go betray their trust by sleeping with other people. But if you're in an open relationship, then it's not actually immoral anymore, right? So it really depends, again, on the context, right? And the actual demonstrated harm. Anyway.
So let's get to the 9th. You shall not lie. How many lies have you told in your life?
So many.
What do you call someone who's told lots of lies?
A liar.
So what are you?
A liar.
Do you think you're a good person being a liar?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever stolen something?
Yes.
That's the 8th. So you're a thief?
Yes.
Thanks for your honesty, Abby.
A lot of times people will say in these that have you ever lied? Well, yeah, when I was younger, a kid or whatever, right? And it's like, have you ever stolen something? Yeah, a long time ago. And then be like, so you're a liar and a thief, as if just doing something one time makes you that thing, that you are a person that just does that thing. That's almost like me putting together a cabinet from IKEA and saying that I'm a cabinet maker now. Just because I've done something before doesn't mean I deserve that label, right? But of course, all of this is, as usual, lost on Ray because he doesn't seem to understand much other than what he's already decided is the case, and then tries to bully everybody else into believing his thing through rhetoric and word games.
Have you ever used God's name in vain?
Yes.
Would you use your mother's name as a cuss word?
Mother's name as a cuss word? Probably, yeah.
I use your mother's name as a cuss word. For your mother.
In all honesty, I do believe that I've probably broken most of the commandments. That I don't really judge goodness by following commandments. I judge goodness by learning lessons and being able to be reflective and forgiving and understanding, because that's what the world is.
Or is you just like, trying to actually have a conversation with Ray Comfort? That's sweet. Look at her just being totally honest, right? Be like, I think it's all about learning and everything. Like, she's so like, what a sweet person. I just got to say, I really like this person a lot. She seems really cool, but she has no idea who she's talking to.
Reflective and forgiving and understanding, because that's what the world is.
Well, let's keep learning.
Ugh, what an asshole. Yeah, let's keep learning, because you clearly need to be taught, and I'm the teacher.
When you use God's name in vain, you're using it, equating it with a filth word beginning with S, human excrement.
What was he trying to say? He's like saying the S word. He's saying is the word he's talking. What is he talking about? When you say "God damn it," like you're saying the word. I don't know. I don't understand where the word comes into this at all. But he's got a point somewhere coming up anytime now.
In the name of Jesus Christ. Called blasphemy, very serious. In the Old Testament, it's punishable by death.
Yeah, so is building a fire on a Saturday.
Appreciate your patience with me, Abby. Jesus said if you look with lust, you commit adultery in the heart. Have you ever looked with lust?
Absolutely.
Okay, here's a summation. I'm not judging you. This is for you to judge yourself. You've told me that you're a lying thief, a blasphemer, and an adulterer at heart. So this is where we're going with this.
I love her face. I'm not judging you, but I'm judging you. Yeah, I'm putting my standard on you. I don't know if you know this, buddy, but that's judging her. You're putting your standard on her, and then you're saying that she is judging herself, which she's not doing because she doesn't use your standard, which she was pretty clear about. Yet, all this is lost on Ray. He's just like, oh, I'm not judging as long as I say that you said that you are these things. I don't know how stupid he can be to sit there and be like, I'm not judging you, but you said this. And it's like he thinks that somehow Jedi mind tricks her into thinking that, he's not judging her. And I think her face pretty much proves that she knows what's going on here. She's getting there. The gears are turning, and we'll just wait.
If God judges you by the 10 commandments, we've looked at 4 of them, on Judgment Day, you're going to be innocent or guilty.
I think that I'm going to keep on reincarnating until I've learned all my lessons fully and just live through love. And I'm looking forward to every lesson, because that is the beauty of life. We are not born to be perfect and without sin. We are love, and love is learning too.
So would you be innocent or guilty?
I don't think that that's really how things would be looked at. I'm not looking in the church of, I'm not there.
Well, you'd be guilty like the rest of us. I'm guilty. You're guilty. The whole of humanity's guilty.
I think anything that manifests physically has something to learn, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
I don't look at it as it's not, that's such a misassociation.
You're getting off my script. Can you just say the thing I want you to say? Play, come on, all this nuance. Come on, just say the thing I want you to say. Do it. Say you're a bad person. Do it. You're evil. Do it.
I feel like people have made religiously it's not about sin. It's a lot of ignorance. It's learning. It's not guilty,
Let me give you another perspective. Because this is what we're doing. We're looking at God's law.
Well, it's not God's law. It's your interpretation, Ray, of what you think God's law is and should be, and that it works the way that you think that it does. That is not actually God's law. You'd have to demonstrate that. But apparently Ray thinks that he can just confidently act like it's everything he thinks is true. Be like, well, I confidently can just say that I know everything. Even though you don't, Ray. You don't. It's just your interpretation of what you think your God wants. And then you're just claiming that you're right about that without ever needing to provide any evidence as to why anyone else should think that you are actually right about that.
We're going through the commandments, and you're guilty like the rest of us.
Absolutely.
So in a court of law, if you said judge, or if I said judge, I'll put myself in the dock. Judge, I'm guilty of raping that woman. Yeah, I did. Totally guilty, but I tell you, I'm learning from this.
Bringing up rape's a great idea, dude. According to his interpretation of his concept of morality, as long as after you get done doing the graping, right, you can just say you're sorry to a wizard, repented, then you haven't done anything wrong and still get to go to heaven. The grapist would get to go to heaven, and the person going, I don't know, I don't think that you're right about how reality works, Ray. That person would go to hell for eternal torture but the rapist gets to go to heaven. That's the system that this dude set up, right? It's insane.
Totally guilty, but I tell you, I'm learning from this. Is that it's good? You're going to jail. So that it's not a matter of learning from violating the commandments. It's a matter of seeing that we're guilty and that we need God's mercy. So
You're funny.
thank you. I
You have
appreciate
kind of an old school perspective on things. You look at it like very like, I don't know who would raise you or what experiences you've had in your own life, but look at it like punishment. Like life isn't punishment, and not being ready isn't punishment. Spiritual and conscious evolution is a beautiful process, and the hard, painful parts also are a beautiful process. Like, I feel like the older I get and the more I understand that, you know, I've got a whole lot to learn and everything here has a whole lot to learn. It just gives you so much more compassion for everything alive.
Well, let's keep learning.
Yeah, well, let's keep learning. I'm talking down here. Okay. You clearly got something to learn. Okay. And I don't. I never do. I already learned everything. Okay. Couldn't ever be wrong about anything because I already decided that I'm right about everything. And you need to do some learning.
Know what the Bible says death is?
What is death?
Wages.
Wagers?
Yeah, wages. It says the wages
Yeah, that's not stupid or nonsensical or anything. That's just...
of sin is death. God's given you death as wages for your sins. Like a judge looks at a criminal who thinks lightly of the fact that he raped 3 women and then murdered them. The judge says, what you did was very serious. You took human
It's
life.
insane. He doesn't understand that he's basically saying that rapist could just say they're sorry to a space wizard, and that means they hadn't done anything wrong. I don't think he's like, does he think about what he's saying when he's saying it out loud? Or is it just because his audience is so deluded that they don't think about anything that he says? And they're just like, man, this guy's the best, man. He is so smart. You got to figure it out. Look at her. Look at him just talking down to her saying that you got some learning to do because I know God better than literally everybody. Okay. What an ass.
So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to pay you in death for your crimes. You're getting the death sentence. This is what you've got due to you.
We're going to pay you in death. What the fuck?
This is what you've earned. This is your wages. And Abby, sin is so serious in the eyes of a holy God, he's given you death as wages for your sins. Capital punishment. The soul that sins, it shall die.
Okay.
Now, you might think that's funny. I don't. I care about you. I don't want you to be consumed by death.
It's cool. It's not real, man. It's cool. You just decided that all this stuff is true, but it's not. It's all good. It's really good. That's why it's funny, because you're just so thoroughly convinced of something so stupid.
Now, tell me.
I'm not afraid of death like you are.
I was, but I'm not now. Now, let me just finish.
Yeah, because as long as you do the religion, then you got no reason to be afraid, right? That's not manipulative at all, is it? It's like, yeah, I used to be afraid of death. Yeah. And then I realized that as long as I follow the cult, then I don't have to be afraid of death or demons or the monsters or the end of the world. Yeah, all this stuff that's meant to terrorize you into, I don't know why I'm making it. He's all of a sudden getting like a country meant to terrorize you. And he's like Australian country guy, apparently. But it's meant to terrorize you into never questioning the religion. I don't, it's insane that he doesn't understand that he's making that so obvious.
Well, I was, but I'm not now. Now, let me just finish.
you're not
Let me
now?
just, oh no, definitely not. So, Abby, if you die in your sins, you've got God's promise, you'll be damned. You'll end up in hell. That horrifies me. I don't want that to happen to you. I want to see you in heaven, not in hell. So it sounds like you've had some sort of Christian background. You talked about sin before I did. What did God do for guilty sinners so we wouldn't have to go to hell? Do you know?
Purgatory? Or what? Isn't that it? I'm not
Say
even.
that again?
I don't really know it, actually. Just give me the answer, man.
Well,
I love this part right here because it became very clear that she realized in this moment that she is just a prop. He is not here to listen to anything you've got to say. He is here to talk at you, try to make you look silly with the things that you think, while trying to act like his dedication to a Bronze Age book with a talking donkey in it is just so normal, rational, reasonable, and everybody just needs to listen to him because he's got the answers for everybody. And she realized that in this moment, I think. She starts to go, oh, he doesn't care about anything I have to say. He just wants to talk at me. Right? He's just going to talk at me, talk down to me, say that I got stuff that I need to learn while he's got it all figured out. She's picking up on it, and I love it. I love how polite she was, and then now let's watch her switch gears a little bit.
Jesus died on the cross for the sin of the world.
Yeah.
You and I broke God's law, the 10 Commandments. Jesus paid the fine. That's why he said it is finished just before he died on the cross. It is finished. The debt has been paid.
You know, I'm not even Christian. I literally have just studied religion.
You have?
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. And we're still learning to
It's not, she just said she's not a Christian, man. She doesn't believe any of this stuff.
day. So let's keep this up, and then I'll let you go because you're probably in a hurry. If someone pays your fine, a judge can legally let you go. He can say, Abby, there's a stack of speeding fines here. This is serious, but someone's paid them. You're out of here. Even though you're guilty, you walk because someone paid your fine. And even though you and I are guilty of a multitude of sins worthy of death and damnation, Jesus paid the fine in his life's blood. And
The death and damnation is worth looking at with lust, the thing that God programmed us to do in order for us to spread the species, and literally demanded that we do that, be fruitful and multiply. Anyway, but yeah,
that means God can legally dismiss our case. He can let you live for...
God can legally not have to have torture murder as something that has to happen in order for him to forgive, because that's insane. That's like a Dahmer level thinking, right? Like I can't forgive unless I torture murder stuff.
He can take the death sentence off you, all because Jesus suffered and died on the cross and rose again on the third day. And I can see that you've got a contemptuous attitude to the gospel, but stay with it.
A contemptuous attitude towards the gospel. No, we're just not convinced it's true, Ray. You haven't provided any reason to think that what you're saying is true. Just that you are saying that you think it is true is not reason that anybody else should think it.
Please stay. I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
Like this whole awesome little complex thing to really instill fear into people that don't believe in Jesus. And like, gosh,
don't be fearful.
Millions of people watching. I'm not fearful. You're kind of disgusting, and I'm driving away on you because this is really very like you're going into like deep psychological manipulation under the idea that you think you're giving people religious enlightenment. And
hell yeah, go. Yeah, thank you.
That I'm going to move away from the intellect, which we've been addressing, and speak to your conscience. Can you handle that?
I can handle that.
Oh, see? God, he's such an ass. So basically he's saying, you agreed. You said that you could handle it, but clearly you can't. She didn't know what the hell that means. Who's going to know what the hell that means? I'm going to move from your intellect to your conscience. Can you handle that? Okay, not really sure what that means. Let's go, but I don't know. And all you start doing is then bullying her and saying, oh no, you broke a commandment that I think is super significant that doesn't actually matter in the slightest. A bunch of commandments that don't matter in the slightest. But because I am convinced that you broke the moral law and I think you deserve death and torture for all eternity because my God's a psychopath, apparently. Hearing all of that, he's like, see, the only reason she doesn't want to believe is because she doesn't want to have to follow the rules. It's not about that, man. It's just she picked up on your obvious manipulation where you're trying to manipulate people into feeling all of this fear and guilt and shame and give them the cure of all of the fear and everything that you just caused. It is manipulation, mind control, con man 101. And she just picked up on it and was not having any more of it because she's not going to be your fucking prop.
I'm sure you'll have a lot of heavy Bible thumpers that you have heavily manipulated because they believe in their egotistical truths and dogmatic understandings, but I'm out of here.
Can I give you a couple of...
Boom, mic drop. Yeah, because this only works to other psychos like Ray Comfort. Good for her.
And out cards before you go? Oops.
Yeah. You, Ray.
Spread love.
You.
Spread love.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you know what? Flicking off a con man is showing love. It's showing love to other people that she doesn't think deserve to be manipulated and mistreated and conned into having the rest of their life controlled by fear and people that are so immoral that they'd be willing to use that fear to control other people. Flicking you off, Ray, was the most moral thing and most loving thing a human could do in that instance. Ray gets me worked out. Yeah, but no, I was so happy to see the end of this video. Anyway, but if you like what I do, there's a lot of different ways that you can support the show. If you want to, like I said, if you want to like, subscribe, that'd be great. But I also got some ways that you can support the show financially in the description down there, and join our Discord and other stuff like that. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching.